Once again, good morning, Singapore. Let's go to the pool and watch Brian dive for his 3-meter competition. Wrapped up day 1 of diving for Brian today. Pretty solid dives except for maybe the last one, but not complaining. Happy overall. But I think we're going to figure out what we're going to do next. So we didn't plan on seeing the Merlion, but a wrong turn or two trying to get to lunch, dinner, whatever we want to call it, we ended up here. So let's go look at it. After some sightseeing, we headed to Georgetown, say Char, and craft beer. So we're here during happy hour, needed a nice cold beer, enough fans running, and we're right on the water. Feels good to sit down and relax. Didn't mean to make this a little bit of a beer review, but this is Little Creatures, which is an Australian beer. Oh, it's a little sweet actually. It's kind of ambery, even though it is an IPA. Wouldn't have guessed it off of color, but I'm very happy with that. I will happily drink it al fresco right by the river. So we noticed there's a lot of signs about heavy fines, especially with smoking in areas you shouldn't, littering, spitting, jaywalking, that sort of thing. We have not seen a single police officer, enforcer, anything like that. We've maybe heard 1 or 2 sirens this entire time of being here, and it's just a little bit of a culture shock coming from Chicago when sirens are constant, the police presence is very obvious. Is crime that low that it's just not needed? Is it more of a plain clothes situation? Let me know in the comments below. Our food arrived of pork belly, chicken curry, as well as a noodle dish with shrimp and pork. I also ordered a frozen passion fruit beer, and Brian opted for an extra special bitter. Another thing about the signs is I keep seeing posters about beware of mosquitoes, beware about dengue fever, malaria, all those sorts of things. I don't think I've had a single mosquito. Granted, most of the time I was in the city and mainly during the day, so I haven't really been in the parks or tropical areas at dusk, but insects aren't as big of a problem as I thought they would have been. Also, when you look at the radar in Singapore, take it with a grain of salt. Currently it says it's raining, and let me just... yes, the rain. I do have a raincoat just in case. And with our meal wrapped up, we decided to head to another mall to escape the heat. Feels like the term mall in Singapore means bougie shopping center versus everyday person. So with the shopping being a little bit out of our budget, we found this little arcade and decided to throw a handful of coins in just to see what we could get. Oh. But after a loss, after a loss, little sleepy little guy. We did it. We did it. I don't know about you, but I'm proud of myself. I am proud. It was worth the money I spent. Left the mall that we wandered around. It was a little too bougie for us. Now we're headed back to Chinatown to walk around that stuff. In which we ended up at a gay bar called Dorothy's. We did arrive shortly after 5, so it was pretty dead. I believe we were the only ones in there, but they had plenty of options for happy hour, including a bunch of different rainbow spritzes. I tried the lemon cello, which is the yellow, as well as the green one, which is Midori. Okay, yes, we did go off hours, which did give us happy hour, but that was a lot of fun. Cute, great music. I could see that being a really fun place, especially later in the night. So in Singapore, a lot of the food is hawker center, which I think is food stall slash food court, which a lot of the locals go for food. So we're trying to go there and see what it's all about. Brian was a little skeptical. Granted, we are here fairly close to closing. I think it looks pretty solid, and I think Brian will be pretty surprised. Normally, I'm not a big duck person, but this duck noodle soup is really good. Our luck with the rain may have just ran out. I think the rain's kind of a mood. It's a lot less humid in the air. Granted, yes, it's raining, but it's probably the most comfortable I've felt temperature-wise. I don't know, it's kind of nice to see. Different change of pace than just humid and muggy and overcast. We also do have a raincoat that we could do. We are right next to a train station, but we would have to do a couple different transfers just because it's a 20-minute walk and this is not a train line close to our hotel. We could wait it out, but the radar doesn't really specify how long this storm is going to happen. My phone says it's not raining. So much for going to the pool tonight. Brian decided to stay behind and I decided to go adventure in the rain. Normally, I absolutely hate wet clothing and jackets like this. This has been kind of fun. My logic is, why just sit there and wait for the rain to end when I now have a story to tell about how I navigated Singapore, trying to find the hotel, wearing a raincoat, trying to stay as dry as possible. Weirdly enough, this is the feeling I want to have while traveling. Just these weird, offhanded experiences that aren't particularly anything on paper, but it's just enjoying the moment in somewhere that you typically wouldn't end up. Sorry it's so rainy for you, bud. Where'd your friend go? I hope you stay safe. Bye. Made it back to the hotel. I'm wet because I jumped in the shower, not because of the rain. That raincoat actually worked out pretty well. I'm fine that Brian beat me home. He literally jumped on the bus and made it here in like 10 minutes. It took me about 25-30 to get home because I took maybe 1 or 2 wrong turns and I ended up hanging out with that cat for a little bit watching the rain. My main issue is that sometimes to cross the road, it is like an overhead walkway. And I decided, instead of getting off exactly where it told me to on Google Maps, I saw that it kept going in the direction that I needed to. And since it was covered, I opted for that. But it ended up just slowly getting higher and higher and ended up like being attached to a whole apartment complex. So the nearest down to get back to the sidewalk I needed was just soaking wet stone stairs, so it took me a minute to get down those. But ultimately, I appreciate the sense of adventure it gave me. Sometimes you gotta get a little lost and turned around to have the most fun. You'll end up where you'll need to be anyways. To me, it's sort of like flying in coach for the adventure, because it's kind of more fun when things go wrong or sideways or weird. Sometimes you just gotta hang out with the cat in the rain and get turned around. Glad to be off my feet for the night. I think we're gonna do a little bit of planning for tomorrow and the rest of the week, just to make sure we kind of have a couple areas figured out in the meantime. Otherwise, don't forget to like this video, comment down below if you would have walked home, or would have you found a bus, or waited out the storm, which is still currently raining, even though it said it would only last 15 minutes. Hit subscribe because, hey, might as well have an adventure while you're out there. And this has been Brett and Coach, and I will see you next time in Coach.